Okay, so Kathy Orta, I don't know if she goes by that same name. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked and I didn't look it up. But Kathy Orta did, oh, for heaven's sakes, the hidden hinge, which is a very nice system. And then she did the double hidden hinge. And then another gal, and I think, I don't know who did what when, but another gal did a stack the deck. And I believe that we are going to do the stack the deck this time. I will do the hidden hinge the next series. It is a little more involved, and we need, we just need it to be easy. I'm writing myself a note. There we go. Okay. But first we need to figure out how wide we're going to do this. Now, one thing, the page here is 7 3/8. Okay. I usually, in this direction, if I'm not having anything come out the side, I add 1/4 of an inch. Hence, you have 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and 1/4 of an inch, okay? So 1/4 of an inch is going to give me 7 5/8. Oh, no. Okay, 7 5/8. But on this end, I am going to add 1/2 an inch for wiggle room, which I will show you in a little while what that means once we start. But we're going to add 1/2 an inch to that. So 1/2 an inch to 8 5/8 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 1/8. So 8 1/8. So we're pretty close. We're 1/2 inch off of being an absolute square. Let me just make sure that I am correct in that. If I move this back, I have 3/8. If I put this here, I have 7/8, and then I want to add 1/4 of an inch, 8 1/8. Okay, yes. Yeah, we have squeaky. We have squeaky. Okay, so, and you're going to need 2 of these for your cover. So I have, this is the cutter that I use for my chipboard. Now, it is also a Fiskars, and it's the rotary cutter. It's not very expensive at all. I do not like this for cutting paper. And the reason being is, well, I mean, it's okay. But the reason being mainly is that they have this rotary cutter cutting right into this plastic. And as the plastic gets used, it kind of shreds, and the spacing gets wider and wider. That's hence the reason this will pop out and you can buy a new one. But I've had it happen to me over and over and over again, so it's like, you know, I'm just going to save this for my chipboard. Some people could have it and absolutely love it. I absolutely loved it when I first got it, but then I had noticed that it was putting a lip on the paper, because in some of the spots, because the edge. Now, I do have a new piece to go in here, but since all I do with this is chipboard, I'm not ready to put the new piece in. But it has an extension arm to it, and I like to put it down like this so that I can see, because it's orange on orange, and so it's very hard to read as well. Now, if you just are doing cards or something like that, but you only have it out to 3¼ inches. So you do, though, have very nice spacing out past this way to 1¾ inch. And you have the centimeters. But still, it's not one of their finest moments as far as I'm concerned. But it is perfectly fine for cutting chipboard. It has 2 ledges here, so whatever you're using, you need to make sure that you're putting your chipboard on the ledges so that you're nice and straight. And then I'm going to make my first cut, the larger size, 8 5/8. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. And I basically just get up over top of it and look until I'm happy. Always use your plastic holder. No matter what cutter you use, always use your plastic holder. There we go. It was cut the second time I did it, but I did it one extra time, I guess. And let's see. This is, oh my goodness, it's almost 3½. So we're not going to have enough that way, but we will have enough, which is great. That's why I did it the largest first, because now we're only going to do an 8 1/8, and that will leave us enough for the spine. Yay! So you will only need 2 pieces. I don't know what he's chewing on. It doesn't look good though. Okay, so I have that in. I have it against my 2 ledges here. Okay, so here we have, yeah, it's almost 4 inches. Yeah, it's almost 4 inches. So this needs to be, and it's not going to be easy doing this one because this only goes out. So let's find from the cut mark where 3½ is with my Sharpie marker here. And I'm going to do it down a couple different places so that I know I'm lining up properly. Okay, 3½. Okay, so now I can make my board come out to the 3½ mark, lay it down, I want to hold my paper, lift this up, and see if that's come through. If it didn't cut through all the way, by holding your chipboard down, you can then replace without movement. You can replace everything and continue to cut. So that's the reason why you want to hold your chipboard in place. So here is the spare chipboard from the first piece. Now these things can be used, now this can be used later on down the line for, you know, cut it however long you need it, and it can be a swing tab. Okay, so don't get out of there. No sir, getting in my lace. Yes, I love you dearly, but you don't get in mama's lace. You don't get in mama's lace. So don't even throw these little pieces away. And then of course with these, this would be a nice spine size or less. The spine size I usually prefer is anywhere from 2 to 3 inches, and I don't like getting into the 3, so 2, 2¼ 2½, 2 3/4. I'm fine with that. 3 1/2, but this is a lot of pages, you know. A year at a glance. It's going to be fun though. Okay, so we have our first one. So, I don't know why it looked like I was closing up shop, didn't I? So, now this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 5/8. And another thing I like to do, once I get it set, is I put my hand on it to hold it. I lay this one down right against the cut line, this way. Lay this one down right against the cut line, and I see how we're matching up. And this one is a little bit shorter, so I need to pull this one out a little bit more. Yeah, I am a little. So let me see which way. Okay. All right. There we go. Let's just double check. Very nice. That matches up nicely. Well, kind of. Okay, so needs to have just a little teeny bit come off. Just a little teeny bit. I don't know how I did that, but I did that. I think it's just my eyes. They are so not happy campers with all these allergies and whew. Okay. So I'm just taking off that little bit. Again, I'm going to hold my paper, lift this up, and see if this is all the way off. And it is not. So I'm going to lay it back down and go back to cutting again. Now it should be. Lift the paper. Yes, it's good. So now you can move. I'd say throw that away. Okay, so now this way we're going to do 8 1/8, and let's just put our paper here, our other piece of chipboard, just to make sure, and that looks perfect. So lay it down, double check I didn't move. There we go. All right, so we have our chipboard covers and our spine, and we've got these things for another day. We probably will use one of those on our next book because I'm putting it here, so I will have it. I know you will have it, so we will try and do that. Okay, I have to get a sip. I'm on empty. And I'm going to turn my fan on because I am getting a little warm in here. What are you eating? No, baby. You're eating my stamps. That's not nice. That's not nice. You don't eat my stamps and you don't eat my material. Thank you. This is yours. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. So now I have decided that I am going to cover mine with the craft paper. If all you have is the black, that is perfectly fine. Do it on the black. But we definitely don't need to worry. We have definitely enough room this way. We just need to put enough of these together. And this is 1/4 inch tape here, so I am going to use that. Get down. Thank you. I am going to use that. We're going to connect this piece of paper with this piece of paper. All right. So you want to take your 1/4 inch score tape and really take your time. Get it right on the edge because you're using that 1/4 inch score tape as a guide for the paper that you're getting ready to put down. So just take your time and get it just right. There we go. I'm gonna cut this off. Burnish it down. Pull your paper backing off. There we go. No! You. Now he's eating my Copic markers. You're killing me, dog. You're killing me. You have your toys. You eat those toys. Okay. So I'm laying this down. I'm also going to use the grid to help me. So I'm just lining it up on one of the lines. And then I can just put this, run it right up along the edge so that you don't see the score tape. Hooch! Okay. And so now I believe we're going to have 3, but we can see what we're doing here. So, and I want you guys to take a pencil or a marker or something and make sure that you have the 8 5/8 at the top and put that. So because it is so close, a 1/2 inch difference, that you know where your top is. So mark your tops on these, okay? So here we're going to need approximately 1 inch on all sides. So we've got that. And then we have our spine, and we're going to need 1/4 inch left on our spine. And so here you see we don't have enough paper. So I'm going to have to do the same thing and add another sheet. Oh. I went to bed last night around, I don't know, 12 o'clock. Hooch! Get down! Hooch! Get down, honey. Get down. No. 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 Come here. Where's Squeaky? Go get Squeaky. No, I'm not Squeaky. Here. Get that. What's that? What's that? What is that? Get that. He wants to be entertained, and I entertain him all day long. It's like, but I went to bed, and I don't normally go to bed quite, that's kind of early for me, because like I said, I'm a night owl. And so he wasn't ready for bed. I was exhausted with all the allergy stuff that we'd been dealing with, and I had a bad headache yesterday. I was exhausted. Well, he kept both of us up for a good half hour, us trying to appease him, fuss at him. So I finally just picked him up and took him out in the living room and played with him. I'd say a half hour to 45 minutes. And then finally, I brought him in and he was ready for bed. Yay! So much for trying to go to bed early. What are you doing, Sweet Pea? I'm sorry, guys. I get so distracted with him in here, but I don't really have a choice. He'd be doing this. He will get better. That's what everybody keeps telling me. Anyway. He will get better. Okay. So there is that. Now, we're going to Now, the one thing you want to make sure that you're not going to have is the piece where you are putting the two sheets together. You do not want that to be on a bend. So you don't want it to be near the bend between your cover and your spine, because then it will, it will peel away very easily. So you either want it on your front or on your spine. On your spine is better, but because we're using 8.5 by 11, I don't really have that option. You can do as little as a 1/2 inch, but even if I did that, I still can't get this. And I would rather go about 1 inch and have that further in on the page instead of close to my spine. So I hope that makes sense to you. Hooch! Please go lay down. Like 3 or 4 more months and we should have a sane dog. Okay, so I am just going to use glue. But you want the glue to kind of go everywhere. So you're going to use a lot of glue. You can use, if you have an ATG gun, you can use your ATG, you can use your score tape, you can use whatever you want. And I'm just going to kind of give myself 1 inch all the way around. There might be a little bit more on one side, but I got a nice inch here and a nice inch here. Oh, and I didn't give you the centimeters. So and then we're just going to burnish this down and get all that glue moved around underneath your chipboard. The worst thing is to have an air pocket on your cover. And by using, now normally I have a 9-inch, they also make a 12-inch, but I have a 9-inch Xyron machine. They have, get down. Oh, get down. No. This is the little sticker maker Xyron machine. Well, I have one that does, I can put up to 9 inches in there. Get down. No, sir. No, sir. No. Go lay down. Oh, my gosh. He is just... Oh. Okay, and I'm just going to take my cloth and kind of clean up the excess that's coming out. Okay. All right. So there's that piece. You can flip it over and make sure that you have it sealed down nicely. And this does look very nicely sealed. I don't see beginnings of any pockets of air. So I'm very pleased with that. But the Xyron machine just makes it like a big sticker. So it has got glue all over it. And it's, the double-sided sticky glue that it puts on there. And so I usually run my chipboard through that Xyron machine. But not everybody has that. You don't need to go out and buy it when glue works just fine. Another thing that you can use is the Elmer's rubber cement. This is relatively inexpensive, and you would just get it all over the chipboard. It's a little stinky, so if that bothers you, then you wouldn't want to use this, but And once you open it, it does, you know, start drying out fairly quickly, but and you want to have about 1/4 of an inch. So you take your ruler, line it up with a line, and then use the ruler to make sure you're straight, and just put it on the 1/4 of an inch line. There we go. And then you're going to burnish. And then we're going to flip it over. And burnish some more. One thing with that Elmer's, with the rubber cement, is it does not wrinkle the paper. This Scotch Quick Dry does. That's one reason I'm really trying to get rid of it, because, I mean, it's a nice glue, but it does wrinkle your paper. And this is fairly good cardstock, so it shouldn't really wrinkle, but it is wrinkling underneath the, I mean, I did put a lot of glue in there, but I hate air bubbles. Don't want air bubbles. There is ways to fix them, and I can show you ways to fix air bubbles, but hopefully we won't have any this time around. Okay, and then we just have one more, and we're going to keep our ruler down, and we're just going to line up one of the lines, and then we will lay this one 1/4 inch line away. And then that's where it will stay, and then we'll just cut off the excess. All right. This is a little too big for the rubber cement, so I don't normally use the rubber cement on the larger pieces. It just, with my fan going, it just dries. You can use your your art glitter glue for this if you would like, but the least expensive options you have for this, because it's all wrapped up, it's not going to be going anywhere. Make sure we've got that all pressed down. Get that right up there with, let me slide it over a smidge. Come on, slide over for me a smidge. Nope, it's not going to do it. That's fine. There we go. Okay. Burnish on this side. I didn't put the glue quite as far out to the ends as I did on the first side, so I don't have as much oozing out. All right, and now let's flip her. And you kind of want to go from the center out. You want to make sure that glue is really getting every inch. There we go. Okay. This is going to be fine across here. And I'm just going to put this at about an inch. I guess that's good. You don't have to be exact. I'm just cutting this down so it's easier. So there we go. So there is, sorry I can't quite get it all in frame, but you get the idea. All right, guys, you get this far, and I'll be back in just a second. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I went ahead and did a little bit of work. Now this is still the mini album 101 series, and we together we put together our 3 pages of 8.5 by 11 cardstock for the cover, and together we glued down the 2 cover pieces and the spine. So now the next thing that needs to get done here is the taping. So I went ahead, just so you guys could see it, I went ahead and did the taping so that you wouldn't have to watch me do the whole thing. You take your 1/4 inch, oh, I was out gardening, I didn't get my fingers clean very well. I washed them, but you put 1/4 inch tape all the way around each piece. You put 1/4 inch tape all the way around your edges of your paper. And I didn't have the 1/4 inch tape left to do the centers, but I put usually 1/4 inch tape in between. This is an 1/8 of inch, but you should have your 1/4 of an inch, and it should fit right down inside there. Then you just want to make sure that you have scored everything, which I went through and scored everything really well. Now you're going to flip it over, okay? Now I have done this once, but you can see here is the space in between. I am lightly pushing on this. I want to get my bone folder against the edge of the cover, and then flip it and get it against the edge of the spine. And the same with this one, against the edge of the cover and of the spine, and then of the cover. Okay, now that was done very lightly, but you can see how it's starting off getting our spine the right way. Okay, so now we're going to take our scissors, and on each corner we're going to get rid of the bulk, and that's the reason we do this process. When you fold this up and fold this up, you're going to have all this excess. So we're going to cut over so I am leaving about 1/8 of an inch above the chipboard piece. Okay, not necessarily on the side of the chipboard piece, but it is past, you know, there's 1/8 of an inch all the way around it. Okay, so you're going to cut up at an angle, and then you're going to cut over at an angle and take your big pie piece away. You know, the wider you leave this, the bigger your little pie pieces are going to be, but that's fine. Now I like to make sure that I do the same on all sides. So this one I'm going to cut so that I am 1/8 of an inch above this piece right here of the cover, and then I'll come this way and I'll cut it off. Okay, there we go. Same with this side. I am going to come at an angle and cut above 1/8 of an inch. And come this way, cut above 1/8 of an inch. And that one's probably a little bit too much, but that will be fine. I'm going to throw my corners away. Okay. So the next thing you want to do once you've done all of this is you want to go around, and I've already done this as well, but you go around and you score all the way around next to your score line, next to your chipboard. And you also want to get where it's open. You want to kind of get a nice little score line in there as well. So, you know, that gets started for your good bending so that there's no ripping, cracking at the edges. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of loosely bend this over, and you want to work all your sides this way. Okay. Kind of hard to keep it all in camera, so I'm just... Okay, so there's that part. Flatten it all back out again. I like doing the tops and bottom sides first. However, I've started thinking that you could do it the other way, but I'm going to stick with the way I normally do it for you guys, because I'll try new stuff on other things. So, let's see, did I want to pull this all the way off yet? I do not believe so. So I'm going to put this back on here. So these side pieces we don't want to pull, but we do want to pull these pieces, and probably pull a little bit of this and a little bit of this, just the part up to the part where it's going to be folded over. Okay, so just tear that off. All right, we can lift this up a little bit and fold it, and lift this one up a little bit and fold it. Just keep your hands off of the score tape as much as you can, because your natural oils on your skin can cause it to not be quite as potent, you know, quite as strong. Okay, so now you're going to take your glue, and this is another important feature, and it gives you a very nice edge on your book. And you're going to take your glue, and you're going to put a nice bit of glue all on that very edge where that chipboard is, all the way across. Now this is going to do two things. It's going to soften up those threads because it is soaking into the paper, so it's softening up the threads. And it's also going to help it become a nice edge on your book as well. So now once you've done that, you want to come around with your bone folder and just kind of score so that you know that you're pulling it where it needed to be folded, right at the edge of the chipboard, if that makes sense. We just want a nice pull. So we're going to come down the center. Okay. And then before we do the rest of it, I'm going to push in this little area right here. And I'm going to push in this area right here, so it sticks to that score tape. And then we're just going to bring the rest of this around. Bring the rest of this around. Okay. And then we can just return those for right now. Once you do that, and before the glue dries, you want to take your bone folder and lightly push. If you get a little spot that's flattening out too much, just give it a little work in the area. But This is going to give you a nice flat squared edge. If you don't like the nice flat squared edge, it will give you a lightly rounded edge with the glue bead in there that way. So whichever way you like it, I tend to prefer it nice and flat. Just be gentle. And then let's go ahead. Just be gentle when you get into this parts that... Okay, so there's that. Now you can also add glue in here if you so desire. I don't think it's necessary since I have tape on the end here and here. But that's totally up to you if you feel like that's necessary, because then you know that you're sealing all of this down again when you put the inside, front, and back covers on. Okay, so here is that. Let's pull some of this back and tear it off. Oop! Well, that didn't work properly. I'm just going to leave it off. Bend this back a little bit. Come on. There we go. Bend back. Bend back. Bend back. And bend back. Okay. Let's put our glue down. Don't need a ton, but you do need to have a nice... Okay. Get your bone folder. Make sure that you are getting that paper folding over right at the side against the chipboard. Don't push it far enough for it to glue down. You just want to glue down this center. Then you're going to bring your bone folder and you're going to push and push. And then you're going to just bring it down. You're pulling it with your hand when you sliding it down. I am putting quite a bit of pressure on there, making sure that I'm getting it pulled over. So now we're going to pick this up and we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to get a nice edge on there. If you have to use the flat side to do it, if you use the edge to do it, whatever, just, it's easier to add a little pressure than it is to take it away because you were too hard. Okay. And you want to be fairly gentle around the areas between, you know, these gussets in between. Be a little more gentle with those. You can just press on them to flatten them, but there's no chipboard there, so you might rip it. So just be gentle. If you get a spot that's not wanting to do it, just press on it with a flat surface, and you will get a nice edge. Oops, and let's just close these back up for the time being. Now, we're going to do our ends. So let's go ahead and take off the score tape. Now, this one you especially do want to use glue. I'm going to try and move this around a little bit. And I'm going to pull in so that you can see my corner. Now, come on, focus. There we go. Okay, so focus. There we go. So I have a little bit of an edge here where that black is. I'm trying to figure out how I can how I can show that to you. There's a little bit of brown above the black, okay? So I am going to take a bit of my glue and I'm going to squeeze it right into that corner. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other one so that it can just be there. You're going to take your bone folder and you can travel down the side, and then as soon as you get to the edge, just make the corner and travel down that way. And then if there's any bits that aren't laying flat, you want to make them lay flat. So now I have a glued down piece that has covered the edge. And then when this folds over, it'll be completely covered. Okay? So now we're going to do this side. I'm going to bring this around and completely go around the corner and pull it in. Then I have a little bit of a ledge there. I'm going to fold that back and bring it around. And just keep playing with it till you get it laying down the way you want it. You can use your fingernail in there as well. Whatever works. And that glue being in there is going to help actually make that stick and not move. Okay, I'm going to pull you back out. Okay, so we're going to remove this one as well. And we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to put glue on top of the corner that we just unfolded. We just folded. All the way across. And then on top of that one, we're going to get some glue on the edges here, and I'm just going to wiggle a little bit of glue in there. All right, so we go back to using our bone folder to make sure that we've got it tight up against the book, and then we're going to pull it around. If there's any glue that pops out, to me that's good. That means that we've got glue all the way to the end and we're not going to have anything lift up. Okay, and then we're also doing the same thing. Lightly do those edges. And you want to push down in those corners to make sure that you got a nice tight fit and that glue has really moved around and gotten everywhere in there. Okay, so there's that one, and it makes I'm so sorry, it makes super nice corners, super nice. Finished off nicely on the inside. Okay, so here we go again. We're going to put some glue in the corners. We're going to come around and follow the edge of the book. And then you want to make sure that everything is laying down nice, and there we go. I'm going to do the same here. Come around, hook that around the corner and follow it along. I've got a couple wrinkles, so I'm just going to work those wrinkles around that edge and make it cover more. All right, now we're going to put glue over the top of those, all the way along the side, and over the top of that one. We're going to go up the sides here. And I'll wiggle a little glue through. Since I got it, why not? Make sure we are up against the book and bring it around. A little bit of smooching out there. All right, guys. So far, there's our book. Now, notice I'm not closing this all the way. Your book never needs to do that. So why make it do that? You know what I'm saying? Your book never needs to close all the way down like this. Now, mine can, because this is good paper, and I left 1/4 of an inch, which leaves it a lot of room to bend and stuff. But, you know, I do see people doing that where they close it all the way up and they push on it and rub on it to get it to bend. I don't do that. To me, it's not necessary, and it's just taking more of a chance. So you don't have to make the book go much farther than just like this. Okay? So don't force the issue as far as that goes. Now we are going to work on the system that we're going to put our pages on. So I will be back in a moment, and we will give you some measurements and make some cuts, and we'll get our, let's see, what did I decide? Stack the deck. That's it. All right, so I'll be back in a second.